Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found. And, of course, taped live at the Twitch, twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Speaking of the Twitch, because there is no AEW tonight, we're going to go ahead and stream live on Twitch anyway, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. I think we're going to be playing a little bit of Grand Theft Auto online on the PS4, PS5. And then I think we're going to be also booking some silly WWE 2K19 matches.
Well, so we can gamble on them.
And simming them so we can gamble on them. Exactly.
Yes.
So
with channel points, not real money.
With channel points, not with
money.
real money. We're not.
Not with real money.
That would be very silly. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Just come hang out with us. We'll have some fun. On the Twitch. Also, yesterday we had the first episode of Friendo Fantasy Booking Battle for Friendo Club TV members. Well, it was more of like a popularity contest, you know, and on top of that, you know,
I'm more popular.
Yes, you are sadly the more popular member. So it was a lot of fun. It was for patreon.com/Steve and Larson.
Yeah.
You can get the audio to that. At some point, usually you can get the Raw reviews in audio as well.
They're up. I got it up. I just got in the habit. It's a time crunch to get everything up before we do the Tuesday.
Those Raw reviews are a pain in the ass because there's so much that happens. All those stupid segments. I got to the point where I was like, well, I don't really need to put this chapter break in here. So on the Patreon at $5 a month, patreon.com/Steve Larson. Not only to get the bonus episodes, you get everything, all of the episodes in the audio realm. You can import your RSS feed into your favorite podcast app, including the Tuesday bonus show and then the Thursday bonus show. This week, Thursday bonus shows Numbers Don't Lie, and we're taking a look at Sting, a man called Sting.
You're not going to say it right?
No, you know why? Because the microphone cuts out when I do it.
Oh.
At least it does when you do it. It just cut out. See?
It's weird.
I know, right? So that should be a lot of fun. You can vote on Sting right now. So, yeah, there you go. There's all the info. We're going to talk about NXT 2.0. Shockingly, pretty decent episode last night. This is like, you know, all things considered. It's all right. And then, but yeah, before we do that, Tony Khan was talking shit, Larson.
Yeah.
What's
great.
in the news?
It's great. So ever since WWE scheduled a half-hour overrun of this week's SmackDown to go head-to-head with Friday's Rampage, Tony Khan has been pulling out all the stops and pulling absolutely no punches in promoting his show coming up this Friday. So during an appearance on My Mom's Basement, Khan talked about his confidence in this week's Rampage and then took some
his confidence.
Sure. And took some shots at this week's Raw. These transcripts are from Fightful, is what Tony Khan had to say. Quote, "It's the second time they decided to go head-to-head with us. I want the fans to be able to watch all the wrestling. I'll coin a phrase right now. WYW. Watch your wrestling. I want people to watch your wrestling. Whatever you want to watch, watch it. A lot of people have chosen to watch it.
I have a question.
Yes, Steve.
That's a terrible phrase.
I mean, he's trying to be positive, you know?
Please continue.
All right. A lot of people have chosen to watch AEW because it's the best show. Watch your wrestling. I want people to watch everything. It's the second time they've chosen to put their wrestling head-to-head with mine. The last time they did it, it didn't happen overnight. From the start, AEW consistently did better numbers at NXT, and we eventually won that war. And AEW is now the Wednesday night show, and Wednesday Night Dynamite has had a great run. On Friday, they're doing a half-hour head-to-head with Rampage, which is new. I put my show on consciously after SmackDown, knowing there's a huge audience of people that watch that show, and a lot of people are going to watch Rampage, which has been a hit for TNT. They're literally going to do a half-hour head-to-head. That's fine. We'll see what happens. I'm not saying for sure we'll win. Maybe the odds are against us in some ways, but we're going to do the better show. I know. If you don't believe me, watch the Go Home show they did last night because it sucked.
It sucked. Hey, do you detect one lie there? I don't. Because Raw totally did suck.
Raw was not good on Monday. It was not good.
He called it out. I love that he called it out. And yeah, you can look at the ratings and be like, oh, wow, Raw does better than whatever, Dynamite or Rampage, whatever. but their ratings were really down this week. And yeah, it did suck. And there's something to be said about taking pride in a good product. They used to do that, WWE, with NXT. They're like, yeah, we don't care that it's just on the network. We don't care that it doesn't do great ratings on USA. It's the quality of the product. It's something that people out there really like because it's obvious. We take pride in it. We give you these 20, 25-minute matches that are really good, storylines that really make sense, and it's for that crowd that appreciates the quality, not the people who sit there during a Raw and just be like, oh, yeah, is this good? This is good, right?
This is a wrestling show.
This is wrestling. Wrestling sometimes happens on this show every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, man.
And
keep talking shit, Tony.
Yeah, exactly. He, as a promoter, going out doing press, saying this type of stuff. He's not like, as you said, Raw wasn't good. Him saying it sucked. There's no lie there.
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're stoking the flames of competition a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going overboard. You're stoking the flames a little bit, and you're in the process promoting your own product.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with this. Nothing at all.
Man, I think it's great. I think it's awesome.
Also, during his appearance on My Mom's Basement, Tony Khan also confirmed that Kenny Omega will indeed face Hangman Page at Full Gear for the AEW Championship. This is what he said. These transcripts also from Fightful. He says last year, the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament culminated with Kenny and Hangman, which is very fitting because now as we go into Full Gear this year, Kenny is a champion and he's facing Hangman.
All right. That's
I
good.
guess we all assumed that was going to happen. Hadn't been confirmed yet on television. Seemingly is going to happen. I'm bummed out because I'm going to be at Disneyland, which I shouldn't be bummed out. It's the happiest place on earth.
It's not as happy as Full Gear.
As Hangman winning the title from Kenny Omega.
Yeah, does that happen at the hey, they have that Avengers campus, and they got
I've heard good things about that.
The Star Wars. You can be in the Millennium Falcon, coughing it up with everybody else there. So that's cool.
Well, I'll be wearing a mask inside.
Yeah. So that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, no, this is great. Full Gear. It's going to be awesome.
It is going to be awesome.
Did you get your Super Click shirt yet?
No, it hasn't shown up in the mail yet.
Mine came today.
And I checked my mail today, so maybe it's out there.
And I confirmed that my Apple iPhone left China. Probably on a barge or something.
So, what did it give you an ETA on delivery?
Sometime in 2023, I think.
Oh wow!
It said. Yeah, now it's supposed to be like a week from now or 5 days from now.
Yeah,
which is pretty impressive. It's coming from China. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's all good stuff. Looking forward to that match. Me and the Enforcer. Maybe we'll bring in a mystery third person. I don't know. NXT 2.0. I thought it was a pretty damn good. I'll be honest with you. I've been sitting here talking shit, whether it's on Going in Raw or Wrestle Juice. I've been talking plenty of shit about 2.0. Larson, you have too.
Last few episodes have not been good.
Right. I found a lot to like about last night's episode.
What's the formula? What's the formula for a successful wrestling show? You focus on the wrestling.
Yeah.
You give matches time to breathe, unless the story dictates otherwise. And you keep the talking stuff to the bare minimum that's necessary to advance stories. And that's what NXT 2.0 did last night. They focused on in-ring action, which is something they had not been doing much of late. They did last night, and I thought the show was all the better for it.
There's a lot positive to talk about. Let's go ahead and just talk about that main event and what happened at the very end of it. We got a bit of a surprise. Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Santos Escobar went down 1-on-1 and towards the finish. So at the very beginning of the episode last night, the rest of Hit Row were basically taken out of the equation. Top Dollar and B-Fab were kidnapped. It was insinuated the same thing happened to Adonis. So Swerve, it was just him. Solamente. Santos said, hey, my dudes are going to stay in the back. They didn't. They
did everything to Swerve to make him face seemingly insurmountable odds.
Yeah, totally babyface role in this match. It was a really spectacular match.
It was really good, yeah.
The rest of Legado comes down. They are met by Trick Mello. So they come down, and they are the equalizer. They take out Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde, setting up the finish. Swerve gets the win over Santos Escobar, retains the title. Kind of shocking. He had said earlier in the episode he's going to take this thing to SmackDown. Trick Mello gets in the ring. They're celebrating. Bang, Swerve NXT has its own Money in the Bank, the breakout tournament contract. He gets the pen, he signs it right there, gives it to the ref, says, I want my match now. They ring the bell. He hits one move. Swerve kicks out. He's able to get him back down, gets his finish from the top rope, and he gets the win and is the new North American champion. Crowd was really into it. I was really into it. I thought it was a really awesome moment. There is an interesting write-up about this in Fightful Select today. We always recommend you go to Fightful Select because it's always got a bunch of really cool stuff that you get from like every day, basically. And it talked about the process of Carmelo Hayes impressing the top brass at NXT and how he evidently has become a bit of a project for Shawn Michaels. He sees some of himself in Carmelo Hayes, and that led to this North American title shot. In a larger sense, I really like this because not just, the fact that he's North American champion, but it shows me that 2.0 is sort of an ongoing process, and they are keeping an eye on people, and they have no problem pulling the trigger on certain people, or maybe if they don't like something, pulling back on people. So it made me think a little bit about Braun Breaker versus Tommaso Ciampa. Braun Breaker has not been featured that often over the past couple weeks. He hasn't really built up a character the way some of the other people in NXT 2.0 have, like Joe Gacy, for example. And we're going to talk a lot about him today.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts going into Halloween Havoc? I still think it's probably likely that Braun Breaker wins that match and wins the title. What are your thoughts on it?
I don't think it's a given. And you mentioned Joe Gacy. He's a bit of a wild card this whole situation. He lost his match against Ciampa last night. But then we get introduced to Harland. I know we saw him up in the stands last week. He was more involved this week, laying out Ciampa after he beat Gacy. And then Gacy seemingly going up to him and finding a way to calm him.
Yeah.
And I know you had your own theory about what their relationship might be. I have my own.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And in short, it's pretty much the Fight Club thing, where Joe Gacy, he has this presentation where, he's about peace, and but whereas Harland, I feel like is like his id essentially.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
It's the aspect of him that he doesn't feel like he can control or has a hard time controlling.
Yeah.
And so while he projects one thing, inside of him is this other thing, and Harland is a representation of that. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's where they're going, but I could see that based on their interaction last night, where Harland comes down, lays out Ciampa, Gacy goes up to him, and Harland grabs him by like his chin throat area, and Gacy just kind of touches his face with his hand.
Yeah,
Harland lets go and then disappears.
Yeah,
he runs off. We don't see him.
Bolts. Yeah, he bolts. We don't see him again. Yeah,
and then Gacy goes up to Ciampa, tries to hug him. Ciampa pushes him over. So Gacy, Harland, how they work into the NXT title match, I don't know. I would not be surprised if somehow Gacy and or Harland end up costing Breaker that match, and that can launch Breaker onto a feud while Ciampa can continue with the title on for a bit longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But who knows? I don't know.
There's only been a few established characters really in 2.0 right now. It's Gacy, and there's a lot unknown about him, but he really seems, and this is, I mentioned in the pre-show, and somebody had mentioned this before in our chat, I think a couple weeks ago. I looked at just to try to get a sense of the performer. Now, I mentioned this before. Joe Gacy's been in the business for 15 years.
Yeah.
I look at his social media because sometimes, like for example, with Drake Wirtz, you can get a sort of sense, or Jackson or Riker. Yeah. You can get a sense of like where they're coming from as people, because I think that plays into sometimes the performance. Joe Gacy ain't like those guys at all. He's a bit more like Steven Larson, to be honest with you. If you look through his Twitter timeline, his social media, it goes back before this stuff too, like when he was first in WWE. Obviously, he's a smart guy. I wouldn't be shocked at this point if Vince and Bruce have already moved on from NXT. They've done their thing. They've been like, hey, these are the guys we like. Yeah, go ahead and do this. And then they've moved on. They've tasked Shawn Michaels with and obviously HBK has learned a ton under Triple H. Triple H is gone. And it seems to be, White Brownie here mentioned this in chat too, it seems to be I mean, given that he took a picture with Carmelo Hayes last night, I wouldn't be shocked if HBK was kind of running the show there.
Yeah, that would seem to be the case, yeah.
If this character is like a collaborative effort between the two of them, and you start dropping the sillier aspects. I mean, last night he referred to his people as his snowflakes, which is a term used by the right wing to basically talk shit about the left wing. I mean, that if you want to get down to it, oh, you're too sensitive, you're a snowflake, right?
And that has its origins, I believe, in Fight Club, right? That term.
Oh, is that true?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, I think you're right. Okay. Okay. Forgot about that. That's great. And it sort of lends a bit more credence to my thought that this guy is either, he is some sort of manipulator. He is a disingenuous individual with the way he is talking these buzzwords, this philosophy of his, whatever it is.
Well, I mean, he's using buzzwords to make it seem like there's a philosophy, but there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of connective tissue between the buzzwords.
And the dichotomy, the guy in the ring who is super violent, although he will catch himself at times, maybe so as not to let the subterfuge show through too much, he stopped short of ramming Ciampa's head into the table. But his finisher is still a springboard lariat, which is an incredibly explosive, violent move. I like what I see so far because I don't think this isn't the main roster. And I know that everybody was like, oh, Vince has his hands all over this. I don't know that he does anymore. I honestly think that Vince set this thing up and then walked away from it. And now it's in other people's hands. And maybe there was the thought that, hey, this could... I just think that Joe Gacy is a guy who's been in the business for 15 years. He's been through CZW. I don't think this guy is going to allow himself to be shoehorned into some shitty gimmick that's simply so one-dimensional that it's a bunch of buzzwords. I give that man more credit.
Yeah, now, I get that. But
now, if he's forced into this... and has to carry it through and continue to be this, okay, maybe I'm wrong about that. But this isn't main roster, and there does seem to be, in his performance, there does seem to be a little bit more going on. So for now, I am giving, in this case, for the WWE, I'm giving this the benefit of the doubt.
Well, I mean, it's I think by and large, the WWE, especially main roster, has kind of conditioned us to be pessimistic about angles or characters that reference things going on in the world, because usually, historically speaking, WWE does not handle that well.
No.
And so I agree with you on Gacy. He's been in the business for a long time. He's a veteran. You would like to trust his instincts with this and assume that he would try to make the best of whatever situation he's given to him. And I'm still taking a wait and see approach because I could see from Gacy's performance the possibility that there's something more going on here than what was kind of initially put forth to us. At the same time, it's still WWE. I just got to wait and see, because at a certain point, we're going to have the breakthrough moment where, it all makes sense to us,
Yeah.
And maybe that happens as soon as Halloween Havoc. And I think at that moment, it'll be pretty clear one way or the other. Is this something that Vince and Bruce have their fingerprints all over, or is this something more as a collaborative thing between Gacy and Shawn Michaels?
There is some evidence to suggest that it's not. I mean, like you had mentioned in the pre-show, one of the things that you appreciated and I appreciate as well about the episode was that the pacing was really good. The pacing was good. I think that, the fact that they are, there are several things about this. Like, there hasn't been the repetition we see often on main roster that bogs main roster down so bad. The path isn't entirely predictable and clear. There are things that I think stand out that I'm like, okay, I kind of like this. I kind of like where it's going. The presentation in terms of the aesthetics, I am much higher. Like, aesthetics matter to me.
Yeah.
The presentation of the show, the set is god awful. It's ugly as shit. Yeah. So it does take a little bit to get through that. That being said, the meat of the product I thought was a lot better last night, and it does make me interested in where this is going.
Let's take a quick break here to get a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Several years ago, while dealing with severe anxiety, I learned the importance of talking to a therapist, but I also learned that it could be really difficult to find the right person to talk to. Today, BetterHelp is providing a safe and private online environment where your needs will be assessed. You'll be matched with your own licensed personal therapist.
BetterHelp isn't a crisis line, nor is it self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online, all without having to ever sit in another uncomfortable waiting room.
BetterHelp is dedicated to facilitating great therapeutic matches. Send your counselor messages at any time or schedule regular phone or video sessions. And they've made it free and easy to change therapists if needed.
And you don't have to limit yourself to counselors in your area. BetterHelp services are available worldwide, so you can find the expertise you need regardless of location. BetterHelp is affordable, convenient, and everything you share is confidential.
We want you to start living a happier life today. As a Going In Raw listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/raw. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health.
Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw. And before we get back to the show, let's get a word in from our sponsor, Decked. You know, Larson, I'm sure you know a truck owner out there who has a horror story from this time of year when they've left something in the back of their truck, whether it be tools, camping gear, or sports stuff, and had it all ruined after the heavens opened up and dumped rain or snow all over that stuff.
Yeah, and really, what are you supposed to do in that situation? You're supposed to bring everything indoors. You're supposed to cover it up with a tarp. Regardless of what you do, it's going to be a hassle, which is why we highly recommend Decked.
Yeah, not only does Decked make organizing and accessing all that stuff you have in your truck bed easier, the Decked drawer system is weatherproof, so it protects and secures all your stuff from Mother Nature.
And each of Deck's 2 full bed-length drawers can carry up to 200 pounds of whatever you want to put in them, and the drawers roll out about waist-high, giving you easy access to your tools and gear. Plus, Decked is 100% made in the USA and backed by a lifetime no-hassle warranty and offers second-to-none customer service.
So protect your stuff with Decked. Get your Decked drawer system at decked.com/raw and get free shipping. That's decked.com/raw for free shipping on your Decked drawer system. Decked.com/raw. So with all that being said, given that Braun Breaker hasn't really been featured in a character-building way, maybe they don't care about that. Maybe they're just like, hey, this guy's character speaks for itself. I do think that him and Gacy, to a degree, I think Gacy more, to be honest with you. If Gacy became NXT champion at Halloween Havoc, I think that would be a pretty buzzworthy thing, given how he's been the buzziest thing, for good or bad, coming out of NXT so far. Braun Breaker, on the other hand, hasn't been a lot of character building. Like I said, maybe they don't need that, but I don't know. I'm interested to see where this goes with him.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Agreed. Because I mean, they have managed to take something that seemed to be a certainty, Braun winning that title, and rather indirectly put doubt in at least our heads, you and I, about also how certain that's going to be. So,
also, I mean, just given the evidence that I've seen with Carmelo, in that they assessed where he was, he impressed them, they kept an eye on him. Boom, let's pull the trigger here. Maybe the original plan was for Santos Escobar to win this thing. You know, that everybody kind of figured that would be the case because Swerve was moving on to SmackDown. And they're like, hey, no, he's got this contract. Let's do it now. Let's do it here.
Yeah.
I had said at the beginning of 2.0, wouldn't shock me if they're just sort of seeing where everybody is coming along and making the assessments appropriately. And maybe the decision to put for the title at Halloween Havoc hasn't necessarily been decided yet.
That's entirely possible. That could be one thing that's kind of trickled down from main roster. It's kind of a wait and see approach on things down to the last minute.
For maybe a better reason, though.
Yeah,
as opposed to it being based on
decision or someone's whims. Yes, obviously. Going back to the Carmelo Hayes cash in, how that was all kind of put together, I thought was done really well. Swerve, he's leaving NXT. He's looking strong though. He wrestled 2 matches.
Yeah, absolutely.
It took that to get that title off him.
Oh yeah.
And they established Carmelo champion now, and that's great. I don't know where that leaves Santos and Legado exactly. It seems like since they didn't get drafted, it seems like they're sticking around in NXT. Not sure exactly what their role is now. Maybe we'll have some more call-ups after maybe Survivor Series. I don't know.
You would think that'd have to be the case. What do you make of Mandy versus Raquel?
I mean, spin the wheel, make the deal is great. Always happy to see that back. Yeah. As far as who wins, I don't know. They're really pushing Toxic Attraction.
Yeah, big time.
But again, with like if Raquel loses, you would think, okay, that'd be call up.
Mm-hmm.
But then they had that vignette for someone returning at Halloween Havoc, and it seems like it's going to be Dakota Kai. Are they going to go back to that storyline?
Yeah.
After Raquel drops the belt just to give her something to do until she is called up at some juncture. Same with Io. There's a triple threat tag team match at Halloween Havoc. Her and Zoe defending against Toxic Attraction, and then Indi and Persia. If they lose the belts, is Io on her way to Maine? I don't know. Because again, if she stays around in NXT, what else is there for her to really do? She doesn't really fit in with what with what NXT is now. Because you look at like Kyle O'Reilly, he's basically a mentor at this point.
He is. He totally is. Yeah.
And once his story with Von Wagner reaches its conclusion, what's next for him?
Those dudes really stand out. It's Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, Ciampa, who just seems like he's ready to pass the torch to whoever is ready at this point.
And then Gargano, we haven't seen him really on TV since.
Yeah, he hasn't been around
since it's been a week or two since he's been on TV. But he hasn't been in action.
No, he has
2.0 has been rebranded. So
dude, I would not be shocked. My early prediction is Toxic Attraction has all the titles coming out of Halloween Havoc. That would not shock me at all. I mean, the way they are given tons of mic time.
Yep.
They are a focal point of every episode. Would not shock me at all for that to be the case. I mean, yeah, dude, you can make the case for what, 6 at least people to get a call up. Io, Kyle, Dunne, Ciampa, Raquel, Dakota Kai, I guess. I mean, who knows about Gargano? I mean, that's 7 right there if I wasn't redundant. And the fact that they already called up, I mean, through the draft, Ridge Holland, it's like, okay, does that mean that they're not going to be, no more call-ups? I don't know. Or are they going to keep the veterans around? It's like, hey, these are really great mentors to have around backstage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny watching Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner next to each other because, like, they have zero chemistry.
I know.
But they are trying to generate that chemistry, like last night when – Von Wagner said, hey, go take care of him. And Kyle O'Reilly was like, okay, cool. They're getting on. They are coexisting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. It'd be interesting between now and, I don't know, like the end of the year to see what happens, I mean, we've always kind of felt that these NXT veterans are kind of in limbo to an extent. They're a bit of a purgatory because does it seem like NXT 2.0 is really a good fit for them?
Mm-hmm.
But now post-draft, where so few of them have been called up, it's like, okay, so what's their role going to be?
Yeah.
And without another round of call-ups, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, the one that really stands out that it's like, okay, she should probably be. I could totally see Dunne, O'Reilly, Ciampa, maybe Dakota Kai, but maybe not, being like, okay, we're going to need you guys as mentors. You're still going to be on camera, but we're going to need you as mentors. And then being like, okay. I mean, Pete Dunne's like, what, 20-something or another?
Yeah, he's still pretty young.
That dude has like a huge career ahead of him.
Yeah.
Kyle's been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Still got a lot left in him, I'd imagine. But it wouldn't shock me if he was like, okay, I'll be player coach. Raquel Gonzalez is like fresh. She has nothing but life ahead of her in pro wrestling. It would be shocking to me if they're like, hey, we need a veteran around here. It's like, wait, I just, I'm still pretty new. That's part of my story, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
So she probably like has to get called up sooner than later. But
think so.
And maybe there's like, hey, we need a really strong, maybe Vince and Bruce understand, hey, we need somebody really strong. We need her to put over Mandy Rose in the strongest way possible, and then we'll go ahead and bring her up because you'd think they would love her, I know. You would think.
And maybe it's a situation like we have with Swerve where he's champ, he gets drafted, And, the intrigue of, oh, well, maybe he'll bring an NXT title to the main roster. As far-fetched as an idea as that seems, the idea of it could be neat.
Yeah, sure.
So we'll have him drop the belt, look strong doing it. But if they did that to like basically every champion in NXT, that might seem a bit much.
A bit too obvious, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe they're going to stagger these call-ups a bit. So it's not like, okay, all your top champs are going to drop the belt in a matter of like 2 weeks. 3 weeks maybe, before they all get called up to their respective main roster brands. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's dive into it. It kicked off with a Joe Gacy promo in advance of his match with I'm sorry, no, it actually kicked off with Hit Row arriving at the building, and Swerve has his headphones on, so he doesn't really notice when B-Fab is mentioning that they're not sure where Adonis is. He also doesn't notice when Legado pulls up in their van, kidnaps, and then they attack, and he sort of notices at the last minute. He's like, hey, I wonder where. He's like, whoa, things are happening right now. So he goes to try to help out, but Legado is able to kidnap B-Fab and Top Dollar, and Escobar is like, hey, you're on your own, hombre. So yeah, that happens. Then we're inside. Joe Gacy has a bit of a promo, talks about Ciampa being a walking example of toxic masculinity, and he says this ring will continue to be a safe space for my snowflakes.
Yes. And then we have that match, Joe Gacy versus Tommaso Ciampa. So early on, Gacy has the upper hand. He sees Harlan. I guess they're just calling him Harlan now.
Yeah.
In the crowd. And he seems just for a moment to be distracted by him. And that moment was enough to allow Ciampa to turn the tables on Gacy. He is in control for a bit. They make their way down to the floor. Gacy is about to slam Ciampa's head into the announce table. He hesitates again just for a moment. And that allows Ciampa to ram Gacy's head into the table. Eventually, though, Gacy does gain the advantage. Back elbow, hits an Uranagi, gets with two, hits the senton on the apron. He escapes an air raid crash. He and Ciampa are trading blows. Gacy hits a doctor bomb that gets with two. Then he misses a second rope moonsault. Ciampa looks for a fairy tale ending. Instead, Gacy counters with a jackknife pin, gets a two. So Gacy's going for that handspring lariat he's been using as a finish. Ciampa counters with a basement drop kick right to Gacy's face as he's doing the handspring. Follows with the fairy tale ending to get the win. And as we mentioned earlier, Ciampa makes his way to the stage. Harlan attacks him, and then Gacy goes out to break it up, and that's when Harlan grabs Gacy by like the chin throat area, and Gacy reaches out, touches Harlan's face. Harlan releases, and then it basically disappears. We don't see him.
Yeah.
And then Gacy looks to give Ciampa a hug, and Ciampa just shoves him off.
Yeah. After that, no, and I also like this happened continuously through the episode. At the tail end of one segment, the other segment begins. So Gacy's sitting there on the floor, and he has a little smirk on his face. Toxic Attractions music hits. They come out. It's their turn for their promo. Gigi Dolan, who has a really, I've been sort of paying close attention to her promos. She has a really great way of talking that I find it difficult to like. It's not like your typical pro wrestling promo. It sounds more like
the cadence of her delivery is different. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It honestly just sounds like I don't know, like a movie character, you know, like it's not like a pro wrestling character.
Well, like Mandy's she's a decent, at times be a good talker, but her cadence is very pro wrestling.
It is. Yeah, sure. Yeah. And Jason's is too. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Gigi, her cadence is different for sure.
Yeah. Gigi says last week we tried to make a statement to Raquel, but Io and Zoe interfered and left us unsatisfied. JC Jane gets on the mic, says Io and Zoe like to play by the rules, but we don't. Your days as champion are numbered. Your time is up at Halloween Havoc. Mandy gets on the mic, says I'm challenging Raquel Gonzalez for the NXT Women's title. Raquel got lucky last week, and your luck is coming to an end. And then as they're finishing up, Zion Quinn's music hits. He comes down in advance of his match. But before we get to that match, we've got so it's a black and white, very gritty vignette. Somebody is burying something. Yes. I'm not sure if this was going to be a body on Von Wagner's property or not. But and then you hear the words. I didn't write. It was like something like
whoever it was, Dakota Kai says, I'm going to bury my past so I can start again.
Yeah, and as much as they tried to mess with the voice, everything, the accent, the cadence, I guess, it was all Dakota Kai. So, I get the feeling she'll probably She'll probably.
She might very well cost Raquel Gonzalez that title.
Yeah. So, oh no, that was from last week. Never mind. Sorry, I was waiting for the NXT ratings.
Oh, numbers
to come out. Yeah, as we await those. After that, we had Zion Quinn versus Malik Blade. Malik Blade is a really great hand at getting these new guys to look good. Mm-hmm. Have you noticed that? Mm-hmm. Because this Zion Quinn match was basically the same match that he's had before.
Yeah. I mean, Zion Quinn's got a good look. He's explosive.
He's got a great look. He's got a really good look. I'm not a fan of his finisher. He needs a cooler finisher.
I know. It's a diving forearm. He won with that again this week. I agree with that. I want to see him in some more competitive matches, some longer matches. There was a couple matches, this one, and then what was the other one that was pretty short? The tag match, Indi and Persia against Sarray and Amari Miller. Those are both pretty short matches, but all the other ones, they tried to tell a story during the course of the match. They gave it some room to breathe.
Even Ivy Niles' match, it wasn't very long, but it was a great showcase.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, do a couple really cool things that you're capable of, and she did that,
And then she won with the torture act, so you can't.
Oh, dude, I know.
And argue against that. After that, Zion Quinn win. We have a Tommaso Ciampa interview. He says, "I don't know what to think about Joe Gacy, but it doesn't matter. In 2 weeks, I'm dialed in. And what better way to make my Halloween Havoc debut than defend this title?" He's starting to talk about the match. In walks grizzled young veteran. Steve, take it away.
Let me get your notes here because I was just enjoying it in the moment. Gibson says exactly this. Here we go. He says, "We can't wait to see you lose that title to a rookie."
And then
Braun
enters and says, "We can go right now."
Hey, a rookie, we can go right now. And Gibson looks like Braun Breaker was packing a heat or something because he backs off immediately.
Yeah, he does.
He says, "We're not dressed for a fight. We'll leave you be."
Yeah. And then Braun tells Ciampa, "I'll stay by your side. I'll have your back till Halloween Havoc because when I beat you, I want to beat you at your best."
The one benefit of Braun Breaker winning that title, of course, would be a potential feud with Samoa Joe. Scariest place to be between a cheeseburger and Samoa Joe. Oh, man. Anyways, after that, we got a Swerve interview, and he mentions that Santos has unlocked the demons in him. Bad news for Santos Escobar, according to Swerve Scott.
Yeah. Then we get Ivy Nile making her debut against Valentina Feroz. Ivy Nile wins with the torture rack. It's always cool to see the torture rack used as a finisher again.
Dude, the torture rack? She was doing squats with the torture rack? That was
about to bring her hands together, too.
I know.
Something Lex Luger never did.
This is pretty, this is really impressive stuff here. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, same. So afterwards, Malcolm Bivens has a promo. He just says, "That was a message to every woman in NXT. And as Kushida figured out, the pit bull has been unleashed. Ivy Nile hasn't come to play, and neither have the Creed brothers. Day in and day out, they are putting in the work, and they have proved they are the most dominant tag team in NXT. And speaking of dominance, here's your cruiserweight champion, Roderick Strong." Roddy takes the mic. He's about to talk. He's interrupted by Ikemen Jiro. Julius Creed then takes the mic, asks Jiro if he's for real, interrupting them. Says, "Dive mind, everything is earned. We're always ready. So what do you want to do about it?" He lifts up his sweater, and he's got his wrestling gear underneath. And then Jiro decks him, rolls out of the ring. Get that match next week.
You can't leave the best line out of this. He says, "You don't have to get ready if you stay ready."
Oh, yeah.
And I'm always strapped.
Yeah,
meaning
strapped.
He has his singlet on.
Yeah.
But I was like, whoa, Arn.
Yeah, I know. So that match was next. Jiro versus Julius Creed. Of course, Julius gets the win here, but Jiro gets a good amount of offense.
He gets his shit. Yeah, Julius kind of it was just sort of towards the end there. He caught him for that slam.
Well, it's like early on, he hits a bunch of like wrestling stuff. Mm-hmm. Middle section, Jiro gets all his shit in. And at the end, Julius hits that kind of slam type deal he does after he catches Jiro doing a springboard, follows that sliding lariat to get the win. Afterwards, Diamond attack Jiro. Kushida runs down to try to make the save. He's eventually overwhelmed as well. He's laying out various members of Diamond. He's gearing up for a punch, turns around. Ivy Niles there, so he puts the brakes on the punch. And then that leads to Roderick Strong hit Kushida with the end of Heartache. And then Kushida just kind of crawls over and kind of covers Jiro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. After that, we had Raquel Gonzalez video promo. She accepts Mandy Rose's offer, her challenge rather, but she says, at Halloween Havoc, how about we up the stakes? Spin the wheel, make the deal. For some reason, I've spin the deal, make the deal match here.
Spin the deal, make the wheel.
Yeah, exactly. So I know you popped pretty hard when she said that, huh?
I do like spin the wheel, make the deal.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
After that, we had another episode of Lashing Out with the Lash Legend.
These are so bad. These are although I do appreciate that not really in regards to this necessarily, but with the Grayson Waller thing later, I love that the kitchenette is becoming one of the prime backstage segment areas.
Yes.
Lots going down in that NXT kitchenette.
Yes, in the break room.
In the break room, exactly.
So she's talking about the WWE draft, makes a Squid Game reference, says Hit Row are the legends of the week. She's looking for suggestions on who should be the Lash Out of the week. Her producer brings up Tony D'Angelo, said, yeah, he wanted to get on, but we had a scheduling conflict. Couldn't get him on the show. We'd hear more about that later on.
Yeah. Ooh, that's not good. Yeah, she said, forget about it. That's so rude. After that, we had Kyle O'Reilly and his new best friend, Von Wagner, versus Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland. This, like I said earlier, was all about Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner getting on the same page. Ridge Holland doing the honors on his way out. Von Wagner gets the pin on Ridge Holland with his finish as Kyle O'Reilly takes out Pete Dunne with a PK off the apron.
Mm-hmm. Then we get another episode of Chase University. Said today's lesson is about ring awareness.
I loved this.
He runs so back the footage of Odyssey Jones getting his foot under the rope. Chase coming out, pushing it back in the ring. He said Jones' mistake was he didn't get his foot on the rope and thus raising his foot into the eye line of the ref so the ref could see it. And he says Jones lacks the veteran instincts to succeed in NXT. A student raises their hand and asks Chase, hey, what you did, wasn't that against the rules technically? And then Chase says, yeah. Starts cussing them a lot, tells him to get out of the class. He can join Steve in dumbass class.
He said, ask me if I give a fuck. Go join Steve in the dumbass class. And while you're there, give Steve a fuck you for me.
Yeah.
I thought this was hilarious. Dude, I know it might get old soon. I could watch this all day long. He cusses with such aplomb, with such enthusiasm.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Ask me if I give a fuck. And while you're there, give Steve a fuck you for me. Yeah, that was funny. That was funny
pretty good
stuff. He's got like a smile on his face the whole time, too.
I know. All right, Steve, talk about Tony D'Angelo because his video package was next.
Man, this is pretty shocking. So, we get a Tony D'Angelo vignette. He's sort of sitting near his car. He's like on the tail end near the trunk of his car. And he starts talking about referring to the Lash Legend bit where he was like, hey, I was supposed to be on Lash Legend show. And some producer comes up to me and says, there's been a scheduling conflict. And he sort of runs down this producer and he says, I solved this problem. And then he walks away and you see the trunk.
Back of the car starts moving, yeah.
He took this dude and put him in his trunk. You know what happens after that?
Yeah.
The garrote or
or like in Goodfellas.
Yeah. The concrete shoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was an episode of Unsolved Mysteries where a guy got strapped to a chair and pushed off a bridge.
Oof.
I don't know who this producer is, but he's probably sleeping with the fish at this point.
It's entirely possible. Oh, gosh. And the next we had Duke Hudson. This poker thing is awful.
Out of control. Control.
This whole poker thing is awful.
It's awful. So bad. I just call him Pokerman now. This is awful. So bad.
It's awful. Oh, we got numbers for NXT here from White Brownie. 632,000 a 0.15.
That's like, wasn't that just last week's? That's like literally, isn't that just?
I think it was 633 last week and a 0.13. Memory serves. So we got Duke Hudson versus Grayson Waller. We get a Waller promo in advance. He talks about being a former Golden Gloves boxing champ in Australia. And he says, tonight he faces Duke. He's a poker player, but I'm going to be the one that goes all in.
Yeah, so Grayson Waller's a good guy now. Well, I guess he was last week. I guess he was when he took on what's his face.
His character is high energy dude.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. He's got his gimmick is guy I really don't want to hang out with because that's just too much energy.
Yeah, he's got a lot of energy. He's pretty smooth in the ring. He hits Duke with a rolling stunner that gets him a 2. He's looking for some sort of springboard thing, and as he's bounding off the ropes, Duke kicks the ropes, and then so Waller tumbles to the mat, and then Duke just rolls him up with a handful of tights to get the win. He can't even win convincingly. Here's what Duke Hudson needs to listen to. Remember Phil Hellmuth, the poker player?
Oh yeah,
he was pretty notorious as kind of being the heel in the world of professional. Yeah, and one of his lines that always stuck with me is from watching World Poker Tour was, "If it wasn't for luck, I would win every time." That's something Duke Hudson needs to consider because right now, this professional poker player in just like the most superficial manner, you know?
Oh yeah, he carries a poker chip with him. Man.
I know he needs to watch some Phil Hellmuth promos.
Oh yeah,
and learn how to be a real poker heel.
That dude was a son of a bitch. His promos were great. I remember him. Yeah, he kind of had Ted Cruz face. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah,
yeah. He ate up being the heel of the World Poker Tour.
Oh yeah,
he ate it up.
Yeah, he was hot. After that, we had a Legado del Fantasma promo. He said, "It's a bummer your familia isn't with you. Mine is always with me." He says, "But you know what? Mine's gonna stay." He said, "Mine's what?"
How you deliver that line was funny.
He said, "Mine's gonna stay in the locker room. It's gonna be mano a mano."
After that, this was a really awkward bit. So Loomis and Indi and Persia are backstage. So Indi just like kisses Loomis on the cheek while he's just like staring forward, essentially.
Yeah.
And then Indi and Persia's music hits, and so Persia's like, "Oh, that's her music. We got to go." And Loomis is just standing there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not totally out of his wheelhouse. Just standing there and staring.
It was confusing. Just like 2 weeks after they went through 2 packages.
Yeah.
And then
he's spent, man. His precious bodily fluids are all.
I guess so.
He's refilling them. What a shame, though. Sarray, she was my favorite thing about 1.0, like towards that final stretch, and now she's relegated to matches on 205, and this being basically a fodder for the tag team here. This is a bummer.
Yeah.
She's great.
This is a bummer. Yeah, this is a bummer. This is a quick match. Indi pins Amari Miller after top rope elbow. Afterwards, Persia says, "Hey, we're going to challenge for the tag titles now." This brings out Io and Zoe.
Wait, is this true? Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I apologize. Maggie says he had Pedialyte next to him. Is that true?
Oh, I didn't notice.
If that's true, it's hilarious, and if it's not, he should, because that'd be great. Anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So Io and Zoe comes out. Io says she doesn't like Indi or Persia. Her and Zoe bicker a little bit. Toxic attraction walk out. They start poking fun at Io and Zoe for bickering. They want the titles. They hit the ring. Brawl breaks out. And Io and Zoe clear the ring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see here. Wait, did you get the part with yeah, you did. With toxic traction coming out and all that?
Yeah.
That's what you just said? Okay.
Yeah.
Maggie says she was joking. That was a good one, and they really should have done that.
They should have done that. I would have understood why he was just standing there, not doing anything.
Recharging. After that, we had the kitchenette area with Grayson Waller spitting some game at some girl. He says, after I take a shower, we'll do some romance. She leaves. Grimes comes in, and he's like, "How did you do that? I don't know how to talk to people because I'm socially awkward." He's like, "Yeah, no, it's fine." He's like, "You talked to her like that, you just lost 20 minutes ago. I still feel like shit after my loss last week." And then he's like, "Oh, check out this dating app." And he looked at it. He's like, "Look, you like this one here?" And Cameron's like, "Ooh." He's like, "You like redheads?" And they just start swiping.
Has anybody from the transition to 1.0 to 2.0 lost more steam than Cameron Grimes?
No. Well, Sarray, but no.
Sarray,
from where he was.
I know.
Which was way up here.
Yeah.
I mean, the argument could, no, because I was going to say LA Knight maybe, but no, Cameron Grimes. Yeah. Yeah, now he has no idea how to, yeah. I mean, he had women when he was rich. When he was doing, I mean, it's like, well, couldn't you just do that again? Just,
and Waller referenced that he had money, so it wasn't like they're walking away from rich Cameron Grimes gimmick.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, he's a technophile, I guess, or a technophobe. What do you call Luddite? He's a Luddite now.
Luddite.
Anyways, after that, we had a cool little video vignette for Solo Sequoia, who's the third Uso brother.
Yeah.
And this is kind of interesting. I don't know if we're reading too much into this, but he does make reference to an island here. In a metaphor. He says, I was left alone on the island, and now I have to fend for myself and fight for myself. So they're not naming him Solo Uso, because that might be a little too on the nose.
Yeah.
But his name is Solo, and he's an Uso brother, and he's by himself in NXT. Do you think they're going to kayfabe his family connections in NXT?
I don't know. I mean, they have kind of with Braun Breaker. I mean, they've made references, obviously, to the Steiner family.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's going to make more overt references to his brothers or not. He did the promo did culminate by him saying he's the street champion of the island.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. Then we had our main event: Isaiah Swerve Scott defending the North American title against Santos Escobar. This is a really fun match. At one point, Legado, they come out to ringside. Steve mentioned this. Wild and Mendoza get on the apron. That's when Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams comes out. They lay him out. Santos goes for a Phantom Driver. Swerve escapes, hits a JML driver to get the win. And then Carmelo and Trick, they get in the ring to celebrate with Swerve. Carmelo raises Swerve's hand, and then right until basically a Rainmaker, he's cashing in the contract. So right in the bell rings, Carmelo hits the springboard lariat. Swerve kicks out of that. Swerve mounts a little bit of a comeback and then runs into a pump kick from Carmelo. And then Carmelo wins after a massive leg drop off the top rope.
Yeah.
So we have a new North American champion. It was actually really well done. Really well done.
It was. And they mentioned also on Fightful Select that they didn't want to play up the idea of a cash-in too much for the surprise tonight, which is a really smart move.
It is, and I like how you actually have to sign the contract, and you have to do the paperwork actually there on camera.
Yeah.
For it to count. So I appreciate that it was kind of in theory the same thing, execution a little bit different. So
yeah, sure, absolutely. Let's go ahead and answer some questions from some friendos. White Brownie says, how do you guys see Halloween Havoc playing out in both booking and presentation-wise for 2.0?
It'll be like 2.0, but like a little spookier. Maybe they'll bring the house lights down 20%, so it's a little darker.
God, so it's at least a little bit darker, yeah.
I know. It's so bright.
It's way too bright.
So bright.
Yeah.
And hopefully they provide or bring some atmosphere to the set. If it's the same set and it's just like a slightly dimmer, man. Go all out. Have the fake tombstones and all that stuff. Yeah. Go all out. Why not? Why not?
Let's see here. Over on the Patreon.
Peep Connor, who do you think is shining the most in 2.0 so far?
For me, for better or worse, it's Joe Gacy.
He's made the largest impression.
Yeah. Carmelo's also. Carmelo.
Yeah. I can't argue with either of those two names.
Moses Supposes. So with the breakout tournament contract being used as Money in the Bank, do you think this will come back every year? I hope so. I thought it was wildly successful this time around. So, yeah, I think that'd be great. Stakes, man. Stakes.
Yeah. The MQ said they might do something where Solo said he chose his name because he doesn't want to be in the shadow of his brothers. Entirely possible.
Go. That's good. Kenny T says, what's your favorite of all the NXT theme songs? He says, I always liked Roar of the Crowd.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I really liked Roar of the Crowd, too.
Yeah, that was fine.
Oh, I did like We Are NXT also. We Are Not Your Kind. That's the one.
Oh, yeah. That's one they were singing in the intro for, right?
I didn't like that intro because it was so corny, but I do like the sort of chaotic nature of it.
They've changed themes so many times.
They have.
It's kind of hard to keep track of them all.
Yeah.
I feel like there's been as many NXT themes as there has been Raw themes, and like a third of the time it's been on the air.
That very first one, when it was developmental, sounded kind of like Ricochet's theme now.
Oh.
And it's not. It was so corny. Yeah. Let's see here. Anthony R., do you think next year they're going to introduce a women's breakout tournament and could do the same thing like they did for the men's? It'd be smart.
That'd be cool.
I think it'd be smart. They should.
Yeah, they should.
Absolutely should. Yeah.
Totally should.
Let's see here. Xavier Gray says, this isn't related to NXT 2.0, but I heard that interview with Karrion Kross that he wants to team up with Scarlett in a feud storyline with Triple H and Stephanie. Do you guys think this would make a good angle for a mixed gender tag team match at Mania or not? Not now. I think that there could be some potential if they actually took Karrion Kross seriously, but I don't know the status on. I mean, we haven't heard anything from Triple H.
Mm-mm.
Has he tweeted recently? I know he tweeted that.
He did
hey,
once.
Thanks,
He did that
everybody.
one time. Yeah, that's as far as I know. That's the only statement he's made about his surgery and recuperation.
Yeah, September 21st. It's almost a month ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. God, I hope he's okay.
Yeah, me too. Natrius with some bits here says every promotion has a knockoff of Kane or Undertaker, a la Abyss in TNA. Which knockoff is your favorite?
Abyss is a great character.
He was kind of an amalgam of Undertaker and Mankind.
Mankind, yeah.
I mean, WWE kind of had their own knockoff with Mordecai.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
There's a lot of that presentation that I always thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But then was it on something to wrestle with? Like he wanted to wrestle his matches super slow, and that was the issue.
I didn't know that. That's funny.
I think that's what it was.
He wanted to wrestle his matches slow. It's not an attraction. It's not an attractive feature. Oh man. Let's see here. The wild card, Luisa Reza asks, is there a schedule for the 24-hour stream? Not as of yet.
We will have one.
We'll have one.
We'll get to it. King CDM, what is a character, angle, or full story you non-ironically like the whole way through? King CDM says, for me, maybe unpopular, but always liked Cena from his debut to now. I was never down on Cena, though I do recognize the bookings for some stuff wasn't great. I mean, I thought if you're talking non-ironic, I thought 90% of the Gargano Ciampa stuff was like incredibly well done.
Yeah,
there was an attention to detail storytelling there that you don't often see in professional wrestling, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, if it wasn't for Ciampa being injured, it probably would have been like, for me, like all of it. I thought that it was all really well done. White Brownie, man, I hope. He says, do you guys think we'll get a Worlds Collide this year or next?
Hell yes.
I really hope so. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's terrific, especially these days that we're keeping up with UK.
Yeah. Theo Third Anarchist with the sub. Thank you so much. Says 14 months, friendos. Do you think we'll see Hit Row this Friday or at Crown Jewel? And who do we hope the group feuds with first?
God, I hope they just don't show up and then it's like they don't do anything with them. Like, if you want, dude, you need debuts should always be about establishing a new star in the best way possible. Come out, he comes out, slaps Roman in the face, and then they have a 6-man, and Hit Row loses, and that's fine. But he's been established, and he can go down and challenge Nakamura for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yep.
And he can win that one.
Favorite customer, what kind of supernatural gimmick would you give to Von Wagner?
Oh, man, I kind of feel like he's so clean slate.
He can make anything disappear.
Perfect. There you go. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. I had a big problem out on my ranch, Kyle. I got to tell you a story. Oh, I don't really want to hear a story. I was hitting a tire with my sledgehammer the other day, and I noticed a hand. Okay, I don't want to hear anymore, dude. I don't want to hear anymore. I'll tell you the rest later.
You can say, it's not a problem anymore.
It's not a problem anymore.
I have the power to make anything disappear.
Oh, I talked to Tony D. Oh, man. Let's see here. Lou Carrier U says, if they did a Halloween Battle Royal at Halloween Havoc, which 2.0 wrestlers you want to see dress up?
Oh, wow.
Von Wagner is Isaac Yankem.
Good.
I think that would actually be really good, to be honest.
That would be good. That would be really
Kyle
good.
O'Reilly dresses up as Adam Cole.
Again, good.
Yeah.
What's a good costume for? I'm trying to think. Duke Hudson.
Oh man, Duke Hudson.
Duke Hudson dresses up as Slapjack. Just a reference when he and Shane Thorne used to be a tag team.
That's good. I like that. I am Elves.
Sorry, go ahead.
I am Elves wants a 24-hour live stream in character as Von Wagner.
Oh wow, that'd be tough. Darius Corey with some bits says, you think they'll do Trick and Carmelo similar to Dakota and Gonzalez?
I think that'd be great. At some point, they're going to split up. And it sort of depends on how well. I think Trick has all the charisma in the world. I think they both have a ton of charisma.
They do.
I don't know necessarily how much he has in the ring. You kind of need that. So develop him in the ring. And then, down the line, absolutely.
Yeah, that could be really good.
Yeah.
That could be really good.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, we're going to hang out a little bit longer here on the Twitch, but that's going to do it for the show. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it again tonight, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live on the Twitch, just hanging out, playing some video games, being silly. Thanks for watching. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Wagner is Adam Rose. Says White Brownie. That's good.
All right.
That's good.